Hello everyone and welcome to Mongolia News. Today I will talk about the economy of Mongolia and how much, if at all, the nation achieves the four macroeconomic objectives. To start off, the four macroeconomic objectives are as follows: full employment, inflation, economic growth, and equity. Employment in Mongolia is very high. Therefore, the unemployment rate is fairly minimal compared to other nations, at 8.8%, recorded in 2014. To clarify, the unemployment rate is the percentage of individuals per population that are actively seeking work yet unable to be employed. However, the unemployment rate is still higher than the desired employment rate, which is around 3.5%. The majority of the employed population make a living through agrarian work, therefore mostly being self-employed. There is also an ample supply of ores such as coal, copper, tungsten, and gold. As a result, 16% of the GDP is from agriculture and 21.8% of the GDP is from mining. The second macroeconomic objective is inflation. Inflation of Mongolia is slightly higher than the average desired percentage of inflation, which is 2 to 3%. Inflation is an increase in average price level over a period of time. Therefore, higher inflation shows the decline in purchasing power, and Mongolia holds an inflation of 8.2%, showing a fairly high rate of general price growth. This high inflation rate demonstrates demand pull inflation, as consumers will try to spend their income as soon as possible before the value of their money is decreased by higher prices in the future. This Phillips curve represents the relationship between unemployment and inflation in Mongolia. As can be seen on this curve, the inflation and unemployment rates are significantly higher than the average desired percentage values of nations. The third macroeconomic objective is economic growth. Economic growth can be defined as an increase in the amount of goods and services produced per capita of population over a specific period of time. GDP growth rate of Mongolia is 9.1%, as recorded in 2014. In comparison with other nations, this is an extremely high GDP growth rate. This means that Mongolia's economy is currently at a peak in the business cycle. Here is a diagram of the business cycle in economics. As can be seen on the diagram, Mongolia's economy will naturally reach a recessionary phase in its business cycle soon after the peak faced in 2014. And now, after the years of growth, the GDP in billions is $29.71 and the GDP per capita is $10,200. Overall, Mongolia is experiencing a long-term economic growth. The nation's GDP purchasing power parity has grown approximately $3 billion from 2012 to 2013 and $2 billion from 2013 to 2014. One of the many factors leading to this steady economic growth could be the very minimal percentage of GDP spent on government expenses, only 12%, a percentage that can be considered as below average. The last macroeconomic objective is equity. The economic equity of Mongolia is seen to be fairly equal and balanced. Most citizens are of similar status, and many have similar careers. The most common careers in Mongolia are farmers of local industries and many self-employed individuals, herders, gatherers, and mineral miners. The equity of Mongolia can be represented numerically using the Gini index. The Gini index is a measurement of the income distribution of the inhabitants of a nation. This numerical value displays the gap between the rich and the poor. The Gini index of Mongolia is 36.5, which is relatively low in comparison to other nations. This means that there is only slight inequity in income distribution in the nation. In order to represent this information graphically, here is a Lorenz curve of Mongolia. Conclusively, Mongolia is progressively meeting the four macroeconomic objectives of employment, inflation, economic growth, and equity. Thank you for tuning into Mongolia News. Bye.